If you can play a swing beat, but anything beyond that feels overwhelming, you're going to have a hard time hanging with most modern jazz players. The truth is that these days, playing in time is table stakes for being able to play with others, and you need to know how to play in a broken setting to play with really modern players. In this video, I'm going to break down what a broken swing feel is and how to develop it and swing so that you can start playing with the best players in your town today. So first, let's talk about what even is broken time. So it's a style of playing that was popularized by players like Paul Motian, Jack DeJohnette, all the way up to people like Jorge Rossi and Jeff Ballard. And tons of players use it today. The reason it's so expressive is because instead of just acting like a pure accompanist, like somebody who's just playing a beat, you actually function more like your own melodic voice behind the drums. And it's almost like instead of just like sitting here and backing someone up, you're actually like having a conversation where multiple people are talking at the same time as equal partners. And because of that, it creates this really free, open, really expressive and organic texture that it just has a lot of, possibilities for expressing yourself. And that's why a lot of players use it today. If you're playing with, the best players in your town, it's going to come up at least a couple times on most set lists. So it's something you need to develop. We're going to start by checking out some examples of great broken players so you can get a feel for what it sounds like. Okay, so that first example is the drummer Paul Motian playing with Bill Evans. This trio was one of the innovators of this broken swing style where they're playing more melodic, more broken. It's not just like a constant swing beat. And it has a lot to do with the way that Bill Evans played rhythmically. He was very swinging, but he also went over the bar line and liked to stretch things and sound more expressive. What really makes this broken swing is the way that Paul Motian, he's not just playing a swing beat. He's not just going. He's phrasing with the way he keeps time, right? So, right? He's one, breaking up his right hand. And also, he's playing all of the parts of the drum set as equal voices. It's not like, ride cymbal beat plus comping. It's all of it together as one thing, okay? So this is one of the first examples you'll hear of broken swing. Let's go ahead and check out another example. That's just so beautiful. So that's another example from Paul Motian. Keith Jarrett on the piano this time, and Charlie Hayden, the great Charlie Hayden on the bass. And all three of these guys are just like some of the absolute staples of this broken swing style. This time he's playing with the ride cymbal, and again, breaking up the ride cymbal pattern using all three parts of the kit, all four parts of the kit equally, right? So wait, so beautiful, so melodic, and it really complements the style of Keith Jarrett, how free he played rhythmically. We're going to play that freely on the drums too. Okay, let's talk about the steps in order to develop this broken swing sound, okay? So the whole thing stems from the ride cymbal, just like a lot of jazz music. And you have to use this thing we call melodic ride, okay? And you'll see this in Elvin Jones playing. You'll see this in Tony Williams playing as well. Even though they're not as much broken, they still depend on this melodic ride idea, which is that the whole phrasing of everything comes from the ride cymbal as the leader, and then everything else is ornamented on top of that. That's the key to making this feel right. Okay, so the way you want to practice it is by starting with the ride and gathering ride melodies. Okay, so for example, in that first Paul Motion brush idea, he was playing ba da ba da ba da, right? He's playing that a lot, right? And so what you want to do is take an idea like that and mold it like clay, where you just improvise a little bit of ride melodies based on that idea loosely and just make it more flexible. So right? You see, I'm just taking that one idea and improvising with it. Another ride melody that he played was this. Right? Now I'm going to take that ride melody and just generate more melodies with it. All right, now I can take that idea and the other ride melody and start combining them. Right? And the more of these little melodies that you gather, one, the more authentic it's going to sound, and two, the more flexibility that you're going to have, okay? And so you want to get to the point where you can just sit here and improvise with the ride all day and make complete musical sense just with the ride. Okay? If you can't do that, it's kind of pointless to add in all the other stuff. It's just going to sound clunky and it's not going to make musical sense and it's also not going to make time sense, okay? So that's the first step. Now, you are going to use your other limbs, but the key is to get the melodic ride flowing before you do it. Then you can simply add the other limbs as ornaments. So I can take my ride cymbal melodies that I've been playing and just every time I play an accent on the ride, I'm just going to also accent the snare like this. Right? Now, the trick here is to not lead from the snare. A lot of people, when they get here, they're going to immediately start thinking about their snare, playing way too many notes with their snare. You notice I didn't play a lot of notes. You're going to start playing way too many notes with your snare, and then the feel of this is just going to get all jacked up. You're going to also start reverting back to your normal spang-a-lang. The key is to still keep your mind on the ride cymbal. Keep driving from the ride cymbal musically and feel-wise, and then let this just follow, okay? Once you start to get that comfortable, then you add the other limbs, right? So I'm going to do it with just the bass drum. When I first learned how to do this, I would put on a record like a Bill Evans record or a Keith Jarrett record, and I would just sit there and I would play along to whole albums with just my ride cymbal and my hi-hat, right? Because I want to be flexible enough with just those two that I could sit there and play a whole gig just like that. Then, once I start to mix all these things, it's going to sound a lot more musical. So, same idea, ride cymbal melodies, just play the accents on different limbs. Right? And you see, once you do that, like that is plenty enough, broken feel to make it sound organic. And because you're leading with the melodies, it's always going to make musical sense. It's not going to sound like this weird, broken up thing. It's going to sound like it's flowing and organic because you're leading with that melody. Okay. Now, once you start to get good at this, then the next step is to start to think about, like, how can I dress up my ride cymbal melodies? And a lot of times you can just steal from, some of your favorite broken time players and use the sort of dressings that they use for their melodies. So for example, this Everything I Love Paul Motian transcription, there's this idea in there, right? This double and then buka. Okay, so I can say, I really like that orchestration. Let me see how I can use that idea more. Right? So I started by just playing it as is, and then I started, maybe I make the eighth notes longer. Maybe I make more back and forths. Maybe I do it with the hi-hat. Maybe I switch the bass and the snare. Right? And I just mess around with that a little while until it's comfortable enough that I can use it. Right? And you can hear it sounds like broken swing. It sounds like authentic because I got it from an authentic source and then I made it my own. I did all the what ifs on my own, right? And the creative, the mean part in it is all the what ifs I come up with. Because if you learn this chunk from Paul Motian and I learn it from Paul Motian, we're each going to grab different things and do different what ifs with it. And so that's how you really develop your own voice as a jazz player, is by listening to the people you love and then taking what you love from it. And that filter is how you become yourself. Now there's two more steps to really getting this down. One is the time feel, okay? So we're all used to like playing time and it's easy to get into like a repetitive motion to keep the time. It's more tricky with broken swing because you're always changing. So you have to be really cognizant of your motion. So there's an exercise I like to do where I just put on a track that has a broken swing feel, and I just play a bunch of subdivisions either on a pad or on the kit, and I just try to kind of match it up with the song. So I'll show you what that sounds like. So you can see there, it's like I'm just practicing the stickings. I'm not really trying to play music at that stage. I'm just playing doubles, paradiddles, groupings of 3, groupings of 5, different right-left kicks, stuff like that, just to get used to putting my subdivision on the subdivision of the song. Even when, like, Keith Jarrett, for example, he's not playing he's playing but in all that, I can feel the underlying, and I'm just taking my subdivision that I'm feeling in the back of my head and the subdivision I'm hearing in the back of his head, and I'm just letting those line up, okay? So that's what that exercise is about. Now, the last step to this is trying to play along to some of these records and seeing if you can make it sound musical. You can sound like you're playing broken swing. So I'm going to do that in a second. Before we do that, this is one part of becoming a complete jazz drummer. If you want to play broken swing or any other style, you're going to need to learn how to transcribe, how to hold the form, how to learn tunes, how to listen to other players and push them and hold back and actually sound like a complete jazz musician. So I can't cover all of that in this video, but that is what I work with my students on. And I can only have a limited number of students at one time. I've got like 3 or 4 spots left at the time of recording this. So if you're interested in studying with me, click the link in the description and apply now. All right, let's go ahead and try to put this into context. I'm going to play along with this awesome Keith Jarrett version of It Could Happen to You. So there you go. If you use Melodic Ride, you're going to get confident playing Broken Swing in no time. If you want the transcriptions from this video, you can click the link in the description to grab them. And if you're interested in learning more about Melodic Ride, click here to watch my video on how Elvin Jones uses Melodic Ride. We'll see you on the next one.